Hello everyone, my name is Dan Qualiana, Manager of Developer Outreach at Zebra. Wanted to welcome you to today's DevTalk. We're happy today to be able to have Jim Hilton, Zebra's Director of Vertical Marketing Strategy, talk to us and give us a perspective on what application developers should be looking for across Zebra's primary vertical areas. Jim's going to be kind of diving into healthcare, retail hospitality, transportation, logistics, and manufacturing to talk about the trends that are going on and really giving you an introduction to what Zebra sees as opportunities across those. This is also going to be a lead into Zebra's App Forum. We're having our first App Forum session in Las Vegas, targeting North and Latin America. It's going to be May 9th to 11th, and everyone on Jim's team will be at the event and really giving a much more detailed presentation talking about the verticals, in addition to a lot of other enterprise software and developer-oriented topics. So App Forum is a conference series Zebra has been putting on for the last 6 or 7 years, and we're really excited this year. We're expanding these sessions. We're having more industry experts. We're going to have Google and Microsoft giving our keynote sessions at the Americas session, and we're targeting some other industry leaders to really give some great perspective and thought leadership talks as we go through the enterprise software market, as well as diving into real specifics for developers on how to implement a lot of these capabilities. So we would love to see you guys attend. You can visit the website to learn more about it at zebra.com/appforum. And registration, it hasn't quite opened up yet. It's going to be about another week for our Americas session. But you can go up there and sign up to get some notifications when that registration does open. As a reminder, we do have our developer portal at developer.zebra.com where you can find a lot of information. We will be posting the slides and the recording of this session up there, as well as the recording will be on our YouTube channel also. If you have any questions throughout the session, please enter them into the chat box or the question box, and I will be saving those until the end to ask Jim. So thank you very much for joining us, and now I'll turn it over to Jim.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you for spending your time with us this morning. Good day to everyone from North America and other regions of the world. Thank you for dialing in and signing in for this. As Dan talked about, I'm going to go at high level very crisply across all 4 verticals and speak to each one of those individually. Obviously, we will talk right now about the critical movement worldwide in healthcare. That perspective is given by our team lead, Chris Sullivan, whose background is literally comes from the industry. He's on the board of directors of a couple of entities in North America, and he drives vertical marketing strategy for that. So these are perspectives not by me, but by Chris, and again, he will be, like Dan said, he will be in Las Vegas to do a much deeper dive. Healthcare challenges and opportunities. Everyone can read as well as I can, so I will skim across and talk about the main points about each one of these slides as we go through. Essentially, this is a box of 6 areas. If I were doing development, which in my prior life I did, so I kind of sat in your chair a couple of decades ago as it was, but we built this presentation and discussion, we all tried to put ourselves in the shoes of the pure developer to say, what is it that we should be looking at, focused on next? And these are the 4 or the 6 areas that are most critical to today's environment, whether it's access to care, population, the population of the healthcare community, chronic diseases, very much in the research side, preventable medical errors is a highly critical area. You know, in the other verticals that we're going to talk about, it's kind of interesting in this perspective. If I have a 95 to 98% proficiency and productivity and accuracy rate in one of the other verticals, that's a great number. That's a great metric to aspire to. If I have a 98% productivity and error-free area, that in medical, in the hospital or in the healthcare industry, I have a very big 2% problem. So in preventable medical errors, this is where visibility is absolutely critical, and the breakthroughs and the capabilities that Zebra brings to the table in this regard with your development on the other side of that is becomes a very powerful discussion. Patient experience is another one that's very, very strong. It's that care and attention to the patient the moment they walk through the door until they walk out of the door, and even post care. And then economic environments, this is where compliance restraints and compliance issues come into play. So this is kind of high level where you should be thinking. Now, as far as medication security, if you think about patient safety regulations, this is just kind of a rundown of where the various regulations sit today by country. So if you're predominantly in the United States, this is already in place. There are a tremendous number of regulations and compliance issues that have been put in place, that whether they're hospitals, doctors' offices, or other home care facilities, essentially every one of them are required to manage to data capture associated with that, and you can read as well as I can down through there. UDI, that unique device identification, this is in progress today in the United States. This is if you're not familiar with this, essentially think about the last time you went to the doctor's office, the serialization of everything that we don't ingest. Pause for quiet there to make that sink in. If you think about everything from insertions for all the way down to tongue depressors in these various phases, anything that is gone on or around our bodies that we don't ingest, there's a requirement in several countries going on right now that in phases that will require the serialization of that. Now, that will go all the way back to my manufacturing space as well for healthcare manufacturers. And then patient identification is coming soon. Clinical workflow, unmet needs, as far as causing the productive movement of a patient from the moment they walk through the door until the moment they leave. Any of us that have sat impatiently in any one of those facilities knows the importance of this. So as far as data capture, data visibility, platform development, and movement of that individual through the process in a speedy manner, that's where this is becoming a very powerful discussion, particularly when it comes to the movement of that data. In that clinical workflow, the prioritization areas, and again, this is us writing as if we were sitting in your chair. I'm not going to go through all these, but if you look at this chart and come back and review this later with your team, what you can see is Chris's impression of, in each one of these, considering that they are a use case, capability, maybe even a full application, you can see the business problems and where Chris has stated that the need is either high, moderate, or low. Obviously, if I'm developing an application, I'm going to focus on at least the high and certainly some of the moderate when it comes to that. So again, this is for your digestion as you come back and review this. but if I had a team that was in a development stage for application into healthcare, this is certainly a great place to start, because this becomes a checkoff list to get that accomplished. Now, Zebra enables better connections through this better care. So as you think about everything that you develop around healthcare, please, one reason why we're on this call together is that we are complementary to you. So think about it in those terms. This is a splash of the point solutions or the hero solutions associated with healthcare that you would want to fold into or certify your application to work with, whether it's wristbands and supplies, mobile computers, scanners, etc. That wraps healthcare. So now you get a picture for the next three of how we're going to talk through every one of these environments. Rapidly evolving retail. And now this is Ravi Kanagati's impression of the retail. It's dramatic. And all we need to do is think about the last time we clicked through a button on our smartphone and made a purchase to understand just how dramatic that is. The retail environment is just going through change after change after change. So to start that, let's take a look back at 2016. The winners. The evolution of e-commerce up 21% from 2016. Amazon says 38% of all their all sales online help drive that. Electronics and appliances are up 8.5%, and that's in online sales. And then off-price retail growth, you can see the stores that have shown great growth in that as well. So if you look at these charts, the physical, essentially think about that as brick and mortar, and the online, if you think about that as us clicking through to make purchase, you can see that the dramatic difference in the growth down below. 2.6% growth in physical brick and mortar stores, which is more or less flat, but it's a positive anyway. But on the other side, online, up 17%, change from prior year. There's the movement. So the trends impacting retail, customer engagement, and think about this in the way that you develop your application. That customer, we, consumers, I want to be known when I go in that store. I want that person to be able to help me and provide me with relevant offers in a proactive manner in some cases. If I opt in, that means I'm saying you, the store, you, the online shop, if you will, essentially reach out to me and be proactive in my customer experience. Make that be a very positive session, and I, the consumer, will reward that retailer for that good service. Inventory visibility, extremely important. This is the foundation for retail, is to know what we have, where we have it, and how fast we can move it from wherever it is to the place, the final resting place in the consumer's hands. The mobility of associates, that's primary to not only efficiency in the retail brick and mortar, but also in the fulfillment of that supply chain. And then that omni-channel fulfillment in store or click and collect. These are high-level areas that if I were on the ISV side of our equation, I would be developing to that framework. All right, so what is mobility as a platform in in-store operations? 3 of the top 4 IT investment areas are mobile. Mobility of the store manager, get that person out of the office and down on the floor. That's it in a nutshell. But when they do that, don't restrict them from data that they need to run the store. And how you do that is with mobility. Mobility of those associates. In other words, have them packed with the knowledge they need for customer service without having to leave the floor. And then mobile point of sale. These are just some categories or some examples of how that looks in the floor. So some of the more exotic or more advanced modes of our technology today, and here's some United Kingdom activity. Ted Baker uses beacons. So imagine that you, the consumer, have opted in to this particular store, so you've said you're a frequent shopper there. So now the store knows you're in there, in their facility. You walk up to this mannequin, and essentially that can evoke information about that jacket, that apparel that is on that mannequin, and how that occurs is by that beacon that's sitting inside that mannequin knows that your opted-in smartphone is within proximity. That's extremely powerful, extremely. That also can log data as to the frequency that mannequin, back to the retailer, the frequency in which that mannequin actually interacted, let's say, with the consumer. Hard to say the mannequin and say that in the same sentence, isn't it? All right, so Sainsbury, on the other side of the, if you move your eyes to the right, essentially provides 4 methods of checkout to speed up that process. And then down below are just some examples of superior self-service, keyword, self-service experience in technology. If I am an ISV focused on retail, this is where I get out ahead of the skis, quite frankly. If you think about what you're going to bring to the retailer that they can put in place, they are always intent on driving the positive experience to get that consumer to want to come into the store. This is how that's going to occur. Okay? Now let's say, what if they don't come into the store? E-commerce, click and collect operations are attractive, but they've got to be efficient and cost-effective to the retailer. They also have to be accurate, quite frankly. So click and collect must utilize the same efficient processes as e-commerce distribution, except in that area, there's got to be a guided receipt and put away. There's got to be efficient order locationing, picking, packing, shipping, staging, and dispatch. Sounds a whole lot like a warehouse, doesn't it? Real-time inventory visibility is critical in the e-commerce environment. Stores serve as experience to the fulfillment centers. I won't spend a lot of time on this because that's essentially what I just talked about on the prior slide. The huge opportunity to develop applications into this area. Augmented reality essentially can cause the speed up, if you will, of the picking process and the accuracy improvement of the picking process, as well as recognition. Here are some innovations in fulfillment of that. So if you notice, we moved from brick and mortar out through the distribution into various and sundry ways that we, the consumer, can actually receive goods. Think about, I'm going to go all the way out to the end, think about making a purchase and having that good actually delivered to the trunk of your car. That's being done. If I'm developing in North America, I would take a strong look at how Europe is making some of these advancements. In many cases, they're cutting edge. They're out ahead of our skis, if you will. And this is a good way to look at that. And then finally, I'm going to talk about hospitality because that's part of retail as well. Food safety is critical. So, you know, you've heard the buzz of farm to fork. Well, that really means something. To be able to know the day, the time, the picker of a head of lettuce, let's say, and know the condition and the location of that head of lettuce as it moves through the supply chain, and to then also know the moment that it reaches that restaurant that it has had a proper pedigree, meaning the ownership of that head of lettuce has taken care of that all the way through the supply chain to where it is absolutely consumable and healthy for us to, when it reaches our table at the restaurant top. That is what food safety is about. Little known fact, almost up to 30% of produce coming in from the, let's call it the supply chain, is spoiled when it arrives. 30%. If I'm developing for that network, I'm going to be conscious that there is a strong ROI in those checks and balances through that process. Okay, like before, here are some the hero products that you can come back and view as to how we complement you in that process. Now let's move through the T&L area. And I think I'm actually doing quite well on time. So hopefully we'll have some good time for some questions at the end of this. Movement through the transportation logistics. I know I just talked about retail and I ended up talking about transportation logistics. This is Bill Cusack's perspective of the pure T&L market. And if you look across, T&L is quite a wide area. There's actually, if you think about the vertical, there's an and in the middle of the name of the vertical, transportation and logistics. That involves travel. We consumers going through the travel process of moving us from point A to point B. That's terminal operations, that's warehouse, that's field, and that's enterprise. A couple of the high-level trends in this area. Essentially, not only is retail driving a strong press into strong movement into transportation and logistics, but in other factors, there is a diversification of product, there's a diversification of sales channels, and there's a decentralized effort going on around the production and the storage of goods for us. That's one way that the T&L is keeping up with we consumer demand. If we want something ordered, we no longer, the idea of waiting for 3 weeks or 2 weeks for that good to land on our doorstep is just unbelievable now. All you have to do is listen to the news and you're here, same day delivery of whatever it is that is being ordered. Certainly next day delivery. And the idea of 2 to 3 days is a stretch on that. The visibility of that good, that person, that asset throughout the T&L supply chain is how that can get accomplished. In other words, if that order occurs, that visibility of order placed, pick made, pack made, shipped, in the process of delivery to our front door. Every bit of that is a visibility chain that is it needs you and it needs us. So market changes and opportunities, I just kind of talked about it. Right place, a right product in right place at right time at right cost. 2 focus areas, pickup and delivery, warehouse operations. Here's what we need. I'll move fast through this. I need a mobile warehouse that equals maximum productivity. What that means is as you develop, you need to develop for efficiency. In other words, I want my workforce as productive as they can possibly be. I don't want the system slowing them down. So as I build that solution out for the T&L space, I want productivity to occur. Visibility. I want to know every step of the way, just the way I talked about. And then flexibility. The more agile, the more effective that organization. And then here's some numbers just to match up with that. 40% space savings is earned through dynamic staging. 99.6% of orders are shipped complete by a warehouse in a fully visible operation. And then 27% reduction in downtime in warehouses that implement mobile collaborative solutions. What is that? That means flexibility. That means that orders can come in even if they're late and still get filled for customer services purposes. Now that visibility drives pickup and delivery as well. Now let's take it right to the front door of our front porch. Accuracy, avoiding misships, traceability. Asset, you guys can read as well as I can. Asset optimization, maximization. scanning and efficiency. Every bit of that goes into that accurate delivery of goods. What is multimodal? What in the world does that mean? Historically, in the picking process in the logistics area, if you think about data capture, generally there was a mobile computer with a touchpad or keys, a set of keys. Okay, well, that's one way of doing entry, isn't it? Another way is the touch screen. That's another way. Another way is the voice. That's a third way. Multimodal. So multimodal data entry, there's not any, to be fully optimized, there's not any one single method of entry that can get at maximum optimization. But if you put them all together and have that worker and have the environment dictate how the data gets into the handheld or how the pick occurs, you get simple, as in voice, zero voice training. You get smart, as in business intelligence data. You get flexible, and you get reliable. So retouch, scan, photo, keyword, talk, and voice pick. Talk means talking into the mobile computer. Voice pick is essentially having that voice, that mobile computer talk back to that picker. Like before, here's some hero products going across that fit squarely into that space, purpose-built, as you can see, and sitting here ready to complement your applications as you develop them for this ever-growing space. Let me finish up with that. I've already talked about retail. I've already talked about T&L. We know that I lead this team of vertical marketing strategy. I tell people this all the time. In retail, if I had the head count to add another retail expert like Robbie, I wouldn't add a retail expert. I would add a T&L expert. The reason why is because that's where tomorrow's retail sits, is in logistics. Think about that. Okay. Advancement in manufacturing is truly about visibility. And again, these are my perspectives on the manufacturing space. Now, manufacturing is made up of several environments. That's the plant floor. We manufacturers make it. We ourselves are manufacturers in Zebra. Warehouse, that logistics again, and then field. Field shows up in several aspects. Field sales, DSD, direct store delivery, I should say, merchandising, fleet management, taking care of those trucks, and then field service operations, the management of externally placed assets, and then there's the enterprise areas as well. Got a picture here that kind of, if you were overlooking a manufacturing area, this is inside the four walls, you can look at the various processes. So if you are developing for a plant floor environment, it's not simply a plant floor environment. You've got goods in, raw material, line side parts, also raw material. Then you got the manufacturing, the assembly, and the industrial control systems that manage the whole production process. Over to the side, you've got asset maintenance. In other words, all those machines have to be kept running. You've got quality assurance, traceability, and then packing, and then goods out, finished goods inventory. So even in this management process, manufacturing process, you've got 3 different warehouses happening there. Actually 4 if you count the cage over at the over on the maintenance side. If I'm developing software, I'm going to develop software for those unique business problems because every one of them are in fact unique. IoT is making a dramatic entrance into manufacturing space. These are just some third-party pieces of information that will be great for come back and do some spare time reading. We provide these various documents. Your sales, your CAM can actually get them for you as you work with us. But the range of IT enabling technologies are giving manufacturers deeper visibility into every stage of their supply chain. And their supply chain, think about the manufacturer, their supply chain is actually that network of vendors that supplies them with their raw materials throughout their production process, all the way out to that final resting place with the retailer, who in many cases is their customer. Okay, that connected connected network. You want to enable real-time workforce communication if you're developing for this space. You want to track the path of that inventory, those goods. You want to monitor the status of those goods. So where is it and what condition is it in? And then finally, the dynamic connecting field. IoT is transforming. So it's really, think about the last time you read an article or had a conversation about IoT. It is defined differently by nearly every person that you talk to. It's everything from controlling the temperature in your house or the lights in your house to areas in this rugged industrial environment like this. So what does it mean in our terms to have IoT? What does it involve? Well, certainly it involves Wi-Fi connectivity. Locationing, where is that good? I've already said that once. Where is that person? That's locationing. Security sensors, or production sensors, or heat sensors, or asset sensors. So very much you seen as we walked through this, there was one area where there was something called mobile HMI. Well, that's human to machine interface. That says that there's an intelligent machine now that is alerting that human as to how everything's going. If it's going within parameters, no noise. If it's starting to go outside parameters, yeah, there's noise. That's a function of sensors. And then there's barcoding, label printing, passive RFID for data capture. This is essentially that mix of our components that are needed for this. There's some other food for thought, a little cliche on words there. If you think about tracking both locationing and goods, the condition of goods, I've already talked about that over on the retail side, but it's critical. I want to know the location of my tracked objects. I want to know where those containers are. Those containers are expensive. I want to know the condition. I want to know where my people are, and I want to know the contents. And you can see the metrics here of the survey that this applied to was the most desired functionality delivered by IoT in the food and beverage industry. Pause to digest that. That's very important. Think about every one of those metrics and look how high they are. I got to know where it is. 91% of those surveyed said I need to know where it is. 88% said I want to know where the containers are. 82 and 82 said what's the condition of my object and where are those people? And then the contents, what's inside that container. And then there's numerous ways that companies can benefit. And this, if I'm developing software on your side of the table, essentially here are my value props. I want to build something that improves these 5 areas. If I do that, I win. And then another third-party discussion, the strategic outcomes. Again, this is what your customer, our joint customer, is looking to do over the next 5 years with their next mobility strategy. It's got to involve IoT, and their outcome, not ours, but theirs, they want to improve customer service. They want to automate their control processes, identify those assets and condition of those assets and where they are. They want to enable their workforce and optimize inventory levels. That's kind of the holy grail of why money is spent. If I'm developing software, if I stand up to this test, then I can proudly and quickly walk into any manufacturer and point to that. Now, and this is like before, like the other three, is a splash of hero products. Notice how they got suddenly more rugged in the environment, whether it's a high-speed label printer for that duty cycle of that high-speed production line, ultra-rugged scanning, et cetera, et cetera. And with that, I think we have done it's about 40 minutes. So I think we've got some time for questions, Dan.
Excellent, Jim. That was great. Thank you so much. You know, a lot of different information for us all to process as we go across the different verticals, identifying the trends and the areas for growth. So thank you. We did have a question around food safety, tracking temperatures of that food, you know, through the supply chain and, you know, once it's in retail space. What offerings does Zebra have in terms of you know, solutions that we sell so that companies can track, you know, the metrics around that food and the temperature and safety?
Okay, well, the first thing we have is you, the ISV. Quite frankly, this is an area that the industry is trying to get their hands around. It's a complex industry. It's not simple. And the reason why it's not simple is you think about that good and that supply chain. Well, did I say the word pedigree? What does that mean? That means the owner, the record of ownership of that good coming through the supply chain. It's not a simple exercise because not one single enterprise has chain of custody of that, or has custody of that good. So to have an ISV such as our audience here develop something cloud-based, almost got to be cloud-based because of it's got to be above those enterprises, that can stitch together from the coffee field. Think about that. The coffee field in Central America, beans are picked. They're moved to a manufacturer where they're sold, roasted, packaged, then they go on a truck or on a ship. And then they move into the location, whether it's North America, Latin America, or wherever that retail supply chain goes. What we bring to that table is the data capture. We are the edge of that. You are the ISV development community to develop the glue, if you will, that stitches that together. So we can provide sensors that shine a light on the condition as well as the location of those goods, wherever they are throughout that network. We can provide the scanning and the data capture associated with it, or RFID tagged, labeling that to where whenever it goes through whatever portal or choke point, so that we can know that stage of the process. We are your edge. You are the developer of the glue, if you will, that can stitch all that together in a cloud-based food safety tracking system from truly farm to fork, field to fork.
Thanks, Jim. And what's the best place for someone to go to find information on the devices that we have in terms of, you know, tracking the data capture, things like that? Is that just through Zebra.com?
Absolutely. There's no better place. In fact, I'm fairly proud of it. Our Zebra.com websites essentially are vertically centric, if you will. So it's pretty easy to drill into the manufacturing space or the retail and hospitality space within our website, and with that you can see the product offerings that are the edge offerings, let's call it that, the edge offerings and the services that we can provide that complements the ISV community.
All right. You know, one reminder here, I am going to be posting the slides back on our developer portal. So under the developer community section and developer events, we have the post for this session, and I'll be putting the slides up there so you guys can see all the data that Jim collected there and find access to that. In terms of other types of equipment we offer, do we have any power over Ethernet thermometers, point of sale cash boxes, or receipt printers?
Oh, good, excellent question, and it's going to be yes, and through our ecosystem, conditional yeses as well, if that was a question. Essentially, think about how we collaborate with various and sundry components. There was a, I think if you look out on the web with Bosch, a major manufacturer of sensor technology. We collaborated, I think about 12 months ago with Bosch to create some of these highly critical sensors that can acquire the information that we need in those payloads. And my mind just went to the back of a truck is when I talk about payload. That environment to which we need to know the condition is always in the right parameters. Generally, that's a sensor that needs to sit there and monitor those goods. So in some cases, it's in the pallet or in the case or in the package. But in other cases, in most cases, it's essentially in the cargo area of a ship, cargo area of a truck, and we collaborate with quite a few. Bosch is a wonderful example of that.
Okay. So in terms of, working with Zebra Partner versus Zebra actual products, to find the ones where we're kind of working with partners, the best way to do that is connect with your account manager, and they can help put you in touch with that. But for some of the Zebra products like the receipt printers, the place to go for that, in terms of a receipt printer, if you're looking for something mobile, that would be a product like our ZQ110, the IMZ, or the ZQ500. If it's a stationary printer, we have label and receipt stationary printers with the GC series, GK, GX. So those are ones that you can find on Zebra.com. As Jim said, we do have things outlined by vertical. So if you want to look for items that way, or by product, so you can look under printers, under scanners, RFID, mobile computer, things like that. I hope that answered that question. All right, we just got another question, and let me read through this real quick before I ask it. All right, in terms of the IoT side of things, what does Zebra offer in terms of IoT types of kind of product offerings and platforms that would help connect with customer devices?
Customer devices meaning?
So not a Zebra product. So if we wanted to look at, at someone else's thermometer or someone else's, refrigeration unit or something like that, what does Zebra offer in terms of those?
Boy, that's an excellent question. All right, so I hate to turn that right back around to the ISV, but part of that is where you provide that glue. In nearly every one of those cases, those providers offer out an API, or let's put that in English, and the ability to access that data. And it's the developer that would pull that data, just the same way that it is with our platforms and our equipment. There is the feed into and the feed out of, whether it's print drivers coming into our label printers, or it's Link-OS for our label printers, access to that, or going out, whether it's the output of our scans, RFID tags, and other data capture for our mobile computing. But every one of we manufacturers that live on the edge, and you can't see my hands, but if you think about the supply chain or the manufacturing environment, think about it in 3 levels. the edge, the point, the original point where that data gets captured is either that sensor or that person with a mobile computer or a GPS locationing or something to that degree, wherever that is. That interface is our job. We manufacturers that can provide that to you, the ISV. The middle layer, let's call that the system of record. You'll hear it called the ERP, whether it's a warehouse app, whether it's cost controls and industrial control system of a production line, or a distribution system. There's that system of record, and then there's the cloud above that. So three kind of layers, and that the capabilities, the evolution of the cloud is the very thing that allows these operations, the enterprise, to stitch all these disparate systems together. And quite frankly, that's a place where you come in. Now, we provide tools there as well. So the Zebra contribution to this, whether it's Zatar or our locationing middleware, we can provide that layer above for you to utilize, and we can provide that edge below. And it's your part to this puzzle effectively is to develop the line of business applications that didn't exist before this was all possible. That's a long answer. Hope that answered the question.
Excellent. Thanks a lot, Jim. And one other question that came in is there's a request, and they asked about GPS for a warehouse, but the need is tracking devices down to the centimeter. And what types of solutions do we have for that real-time location solutions?
Oh, that's an interesting question. If it's inside, let's say if it's under the umbrella of the Wi-Fi system, essentially our devices can provide that right now. And quite frankly, we have an application that's called Workforce Connect that one of its jobs that you can tie to, pull from, and speak to, quite frankly, is an application that would sit on quite a few of our devices today, that one of its tasks is to, I don't know if it's within the centimeter, but it's certainly within a very close range of exactly where that mobile device is or that mobile worker is with that mobile computer in their hand. That's inside. Outside, obviously, outside that umbrella of the Wi-Fi, that same capability is there, but it's actually accessed via GPS.
And then, so they talked about devices. What about non-Zebra devices if they wanted to do more of that real-time location solutions? Can you just, real quickly give a high-level overview of our, I guess,
sure. Yeah, there's
active. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah. So if you think about non-Zebra assets, suddenly you end up talking about a Zebra asset. If you look at an active or passive RFID tag, the moment you tag that, and I'm thinking about a heavy asset as opposed to maybe someone else's mobile device, but the moment you tag that, then you can track that individual, that asset, that good within centimeters. And this, I don't want to make this go scattered and away from these four core verticals, but you really don't even have to go much further than watching an NFL football game to know that. I think you've heard our story, but we essentially have two active RFID tags in the shoulder pads of every NFL football player on the field. We can track that individual. I forget the exact centimeters. I believe it's 6 inches, but don't hold me to that. It might even be closer. But we can track that individual on the field, the performance of that person, first 20 yards, second 20 yards, first half, second half, as well as quite a few other metrics if you think about that. And the reason why I bring that up is it's that same active locationing technology with active RFID tags that we do quite a few of serious locationing applications in the automotive space. The exact same team, exact same edge of peripherals, and with our middleware software.
Great, thanks a lot, Jim. So we have a couple more here. The questions were coming in fast and furious at the end. So let's see. Here, there's one here around what Zebra resources can ISVs and other developers use to help jumpstart or ramp up their familiarity with the solution development on Zebra devices?
Oh, that sounds like a teaser right there. But first thing I would do is stare at this screen and make sure that I'm sitting in Las Vegas on May 9th. That's my first quick answer, because everything that we skimmed across today, there will be far more resources than Dan and I sitting in that room with a depth of knowledge that is just phenomenal around each one of these areas, whether it's technology, whether it's hardware, whether it's software, guidance, and so forth. So my first answer to that question is book a flight to Las Vegas on May 9th.
Excellent. And I would add, outside of our app forum, which, so Jim's going to be a great plug, but really Zebra is going to have our product managers, our vertical team under Jim. We're going to have our architects and developers there. So if you really do want to, meet with the people who are building and influencing the products and development tools, it's a great place to go. As well as we have a couple people from Google confirmed to be there, Microsoft, and other industry leaders. So that's a great place. Developer.zebra.com is our developer portal that has a lot of huge resources to help you out. On that site, we have things broken down not only by Zebra product category, but also even there's drop downs at the top. So if you're just looking for getting started guides, there's a drop down there. You can then look across our mobile computing, our printing, enterprise browser. We have our API references, code samples, SDKs, tutorials. There's just a whole host of information there that should really help out. So that's if you're a developer, you're really wanting to learn it. But we also have an ISV program, so that's a partner program where we give you access to Zebra's business development resources, our marketing teams, our technical teams, and you can learn more about that at zebra.com/ISV.
If I could add one more thing. Let's move down the pike just a bit, down the cycle just a bit. Let's say that I'm putting myself on the ISV side. I've got my application developed, and I really want to have an efficient and effective way to prove it out, and I don't have a customer yet. Well, we have a solution center that these applications, you can bring your application to have it certified on our particular devices that you're thinking about, or you and your account rep or your our representative and management for you can collaborate and actually set up a visit to where your engineers can work with our engineers in that solution center to have that app certified. So from idea to reality, I think we provide a nice set of tools and facilities and resources for you.
Absolutely. So a couple last questions. One was just really around using scanners, and in particular wearable scanners, and whether we have an open interface that allows using a keyboard protocol through Bluetooth to share that data with devices like phones, iPads, etc. So do you want to answer that one, or I can?
Yeah. Either you'll need to answer it, or that's a nice, really down into the weeds question that we probably want to have an SE take care of.
Okay, yeah, so on that one, we do have keyboard protocols for our scanners, so that capability is there, and we have a lot of good documentation for those scanners to show exactly how that works. There are SDKs. We also have tools such as one called Data Wedge, which allows you to pull in that data and either do it programmatically or just kind of pull in the data to use in an application. In terms of connecting with iPads, that requires a made-for-iPhone connection unless you're using Bluetooth Low Energy. And so the number of MFI scanners is it's more of a subset of what we offer, focused in more on the CS4070, but that's more of an Apple limitation. So I think that's all the main questions that we have. So Jim, I really want to thank you. You gave us some great information here, and we're looking forward to meeting a lot of our attendees and learning more at App Forum May 9th to 11th in Las Vegas. So thank you very much.